I remember 20 years ago I was standing in that courtroom.
The reason you left me before. I know I have a fickle heart and a bitterness and wandering eyes and a heaviness in my head. What?
You okay? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Video Games and Nonsense podcast for Monday, March 8th. I'm one of your hosts, Chase Carter, and that's
Raymond Woods.
and this is a podcast where we talk about video games and what we've been playing lately. So, Ray, what have you been playing lately?
Started playing VR. Sorry,
Okay.
I know I got some phlegm.
Okay.
Started playing VR more, a lot more. So I'll start off with that. Anyone
And
who,
what VR setup do you have?
So the one that I usually play with now is the Oculus Quest 2. I have the Rift S as well, but it's just a lot easier. You're mobile with the Quest 2, and if I want to bring it over anyone's house, I can. So it's that's nice. But anyways, so I've been playing the game Onward, with my buddy Dylan, and Onward is basically it's a military simulator.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun, really really fun. Like the AI, the AI is not like super fucking good. It's VR, so it's not it's not gonna be the absolute best. But it is challenging. They do throw a lot of grenades. They'll fucking like fuck grenade, and you have to like try to move. But it is really fun, especially because you can play against each other. Play multiplayer and go against each other. And you actually have to use some real tactics. You can't just run out. You a couple shots, you're dead. Like 1 or 2 shots and you're dead. The weapons feel pretty realistic. Reloading and all that. Like with the M249, you have to actually open the upper receiver, put the rounds in the fucking tray, slap it down, rack around in, and all that. And realistic recoil. It's really cool. Yeah, that's basically. And then there's another game called Vertigo. This is an older game that I played. I think Vertigo came out in 2016, but they remastered it in 2018. This one I haven't played too much of that, but that one's really cool. That one's more of like a sci-fi kind of shooter and stuff like that. It's up there with like the other VR, like Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's like a really good quality VR game.
Mm-hmm. I know Half-Life Alyx, man. I know because you've only
that's
played.
Gonna be the standard for a while.
Well, that and Boneworks as well, because I know that when you come up, I want you guys to at least come over for a little bit. I want you to try Boneworks because, like you've tried VR, but you haven't tried VR.
No. I just wanted my first time. I didn't want to dive too far in because after I don't know if it was the games I was playing. Obviously, I got a little bit of motion sickness and got a headache. Yeah. But I think that was because I went to Google Earth and I found Google Earth cool. I played that for 10 minutes. And then I felt real sick.
Yeah.
After playing that, and I'm like, was it because of Google Earth or was it because of VR? I'm not too sure. So I'll
probably both.
A little bit both. But I'll play because I want to play Half-Life Alyx, and then you said Boneworks. So I'm gonna try out both of those.
I'll get you on Boneworks first because Boneworks you can jump in like a zombie kind of horde, and then you can kind of get familiar with how movement is, because Half-Life Alyx, I mean, I guess that you could do that. You could just start a game on that and then like you slowly build up to it. But just
I know Half-Life Alyx you can like warp. I know they have.
Oh yeah, you can do that in just about all VR games.
Okay.
So we could set you up with that. But whatever game you want to play first, I guess that's up. But yeah.
Yes, whatever I want to play, Ray.
Well, this thing, because the Boneworks is you have that slow motion ability and the gunplay, man. I tell you, it's you just like. Okay.
Getting real sexual right now.
I'm just saying, man, like you could when you, it's one of those things where if you haven't experienced it, you just don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, I get it. It was that.
Yeah.
It was what did I play? There was some puzzle thing. Yeah, there's super hot, and there was some puzzle.
You have to. I can't remember what.
It was like there was a robot,
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
real
that's right.
simple
Yeah,
VR. It was really,
yeah,
really
that was
simple
like the
VR.
introduction, and you're
But
just like,
just looking like that part, the first time you look around
yeah, you're
something
just
and
like,
you're like, oh, this is a different thing. This is
yeah, you.
a
this is
completely
this is
different
a
way.
different world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and it's
part of me
weird
doesn't
because
want to, yeah, part of me doesn't want to play it because I don't want to ruin other games
yeah, yeah, I know, and it's
later.
and
I'm like,
especially
oh, this
Half-Life
game would be
Alex.
cool if it was VR. And I'm like,
Yeah, like Boneworks and Half-Life Alex. Half-Life Alex, I think, will ruin most games because of the graphics as well. Because it's VR, but it's such high graphics. Because like Onward, the graphics are shit. Like, and I get it because it's VR, but there are games that are, you know,
well, because
in
I
VR
mean,
better.
Half-Life Alex is made by one of the biggest game developers
Yeah, so it makes sense
in
as
the
well. They
yeah
got a lot
they
more money, a lot more hardware, so they
yeah.
can do that.
Well, just a lot more people and I would say
Yeah,
more talented people. I
but
would
you know
say.
what's fun? Yeah, because Half-Life Alex and Asgard's Wrath. I'm gonna try to play Asgard's Wrath again since I'm more used to VR. But both of those make me the give me the most motion
Moosh.
sickness. But I think in Asgard's Wrath, I think because like I said, I was very naive to it. That game's really good. That's a really really cool game. Like I said, that game has 40 plus hours of gameplay in a VR game, and it was only $40. I was like, I can't even. And it
What
has its own crafting system,
is it
all
like a
different
first
sorts of.
person, third? Like what?
Yeah, it's
First,
it's it's
obviously.
it's first person Asgard Wrath, and you get you have like get abilities and swords and stuff like that from Norse mythology and all that. And
Oh,
you
okay.
fight a bunch of different creatures
I love how
and
you
then of
get
course
excited about this.
zombie uh, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. The only problem with that game is the combat between like the gun combat with humans. That is terrible. Like Dylan was watching me and I was showing him the game and I'm like, I'm showing him how cool it is to stab the zombies, stuff like that, zombie gameplay, that's really cool. And then I go and fight this human NPC and I'm shooting and I'm like aiming directly at her shooting and it's just the bullets are just missing, just not connecting. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, I'm get like 10 feet away from it. I'm shooting and it's missing. I'm like, this is really bad. Like it
A little bit.
really needs work. Really needs work in that because that right there will like people will avoid fighting with humans like that. They'll try to sneak around because it's so bad.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I don't know.
you're like, I don't want to. What was that? Like make assumptions, but
And I played the game a while. I played the game a good amount. I mean, that game is really cool though. Like I was telling you in Saints and Sinners, like you grab the zombie's head and you actually have to forcefully push in with your hand and then forcefully pull out the knife. Like
you
you
can't
can't
just go.
no, you have to actually
Oh,
like
a certain
you go
speed.
there and it stabs in the skull and then you pull it out, dude. You're like, oh, the first time you're like, oh god, it's weird. The first time it's a little weird because it's how
Now,
realistic
are
that kind
those
of
more
feels.
realistic graphics? Or are they more on the in the
They're
middle?
decent graphics, but they're not they're not super good. But it really doesn't matter honestly. Like it's one of the reasons why Minecraft is so popular. The graphics are obviously terrible. Now they have the ray tracing graphics, but it doesn't matter because of all the sheer scale of the game and all the things that you can do in the game. People are
Yeah.
like, and plus that game is made like that. That's a specific, way. They did that on purpose.
That's a look for a game. Yeah.
Yeah,
They wanted to make it big as possible without slowing the frame rate down and all that stuff. So
fucking smart. Hey, this game's gonna be one of the most popular games of all time. Oh, really? It's blocky. The graphics are blocky. Doesn't matter.
and that's a good. Those games show you that you don't have to make your game realistic. You just have to make it
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, just
There's
make it fun. That's all you got to do. It's fun.
Interesting, like
Oh, that's right. I forgot
thought
another thing
experiment.
too.
Oh, what other thing?
I know. I've been playing a lot more Horizon Zero Dawn on PC again. Since my
Okay.
PC is a lot, I've
I heard there was
kinda
a patch
upgraded it.
for it that came out that makes it more stable. It wasn't
Oh
stable.
yeah,
I heard people were
they've
having issues
updated the
with it.
game. They've
Did you
updated
have
the game
any
a lot.
issues with it or no?
I had one issue when I first started playing it, where it would crash, but they fixed that. The only problem now is if you want, I mean, it's not too big of a deal, but if you want faster loading times, you have to sit there and wait for it to optimize shaders, but it takes forever. I'm not kidding. Like maybe it's just my PC because I only have a 2060. Excuse me, I only have a 2060, but everything else is, and a Ryzen 5 2600. That's kind of the lower tier, but even then I can still run everything. ultra. But so I don't know if on a higher end PC, like the optimization shaders would, because it's literally within like in like maybe 2-3, well, I'll say like 5 minutes, I'd be up to maybe 5%, because it has to go from a percentage of 0 to 100. And I'm like, I'm not waiting. I click continue, and the loading screens are like, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Everything else runs perfectly fine in the game. Like I said, I can run it. I think I brought it down to like high, just to whatever, just to
make it smoother.
Yeah, just a little bit smoother. But yeah, man. Oh man, I tell you, I'm getting into that game again.
How many times have you played that game?
9 times, I think.
9 times.
I mean,
I tell you,
it's stupid. I'm gonna because I let my brother Josh borrow my PS4 because I told you about it. He got Valhalla on his PC and it would work. It was, the whole game was just bugged, and the same thing happened to me. I told you on my PC, same thing happened to him. So I was like, I felt really bad, and they wouldn't even give him a refund. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, they said no. I'm like, wow, that was fucking terrible. Like, he showed me the message. He showed me the message. No, they just like, we can't give you a refund at this time. I'm like, what?
Maybe they can't bring it back. If it's a digital.
But that's the thing. I've bought games off of Steam. I've bought games of Steam, Epic Games Launcher, and they usually give me.
Did he buy like a physical with a code, or what did he do?
No, he bought it off Uplay, the actual website.
Oh, Uplay?
Yeah, it's like, so I felt bad. I got it for him for Christmas, and I let him borrow my PlayStation, and he played it as much as you did, I think, or maybe a little bit less than you did. But he fucking loved it. He's like, dude,
well, I'm not done with it yet. I still gotta. Jesus, there's so much. And then speaking of Valhalla, there's this glitch. It's so stupid. And you go into Gloucestershire, and there's a festival, and it's basically kind of where Halloween came from. There's this ghost character but the ghost character goes door to door at a certain time of year, a spirit. Okay. And then the inhabitants of the house have to give them treats, give the spirit treats, or the ghost does some kind of haunting thing or whatever. So it's a festival that a human goes around, dresses up as this character, goes around, and the kids love it, and then whatever. So instead of the kids going door to door, it's the spirit. This is where it came from. I don't know if this has any historical accuracy to it. Yeah, but it's a silly little side thing. You have to go. The reason you're going into Gloucestershire is because I believe it's one of your members of your clan is getting married. They found a bride over there and want to get married. So you have to do all these little tasks. So you're going door to door, and you have them. It's a cloak, right? So you start the mission. You have on your normal attire, and then you start the little door to door mission or task. And then you have on this hood and a mask on, and it's this annoying mask with like a beak. It's a skull, and then it has like this beak on it. And you're going door to door, and it's fine. And you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Going door to door, the mission ends. Okay, I can't take the cloak off or the mask, and it's not in my inventory as an item. It's something completely different. It's something else. And then I'm like, well, why is it like this? So if the other tasks in that story progression bring you to areas that you have to sneak. So you have to put your hood up, which automatically puts the mask on. So you're in bushes with this stupid fucking mask. And it's not like the missions have anything to do with that character. So I can see if like, hey, you have to sneak around as this character. And then if they see you, the people get scared, and then you could go do whatever you want. It's not that. It's just normal Assassin's Creed gameplay, but they won't let you take that mask and hood off if you're in that area. So it is terrible. And then, there's another part of the main storyline mission where you have to dress up. This guy he answers the door, and he's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Get out of here. And then you show up as that person, as the spirit, and then he talks to you. He's some like witch doctor person or whatever, and he thinks you're some kind of vision and whatever. So that part makes sense. I'm like, oh, okay, but just make it an item. Make it an item in my inventory that I can equip and dequip. Like, I don't understand. So, but and then, so I get out, I get all that done. I still, to the very end, I still cannot take this off when I'm in Gloecktigshire or whatever. So I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I leave, right? I go back to Ravenshire. I still have the shit on. I can't take it off. I cannot, because I can't unequip it. So I go into my inventory. I'm selecting all, I have like 5 or 6 different, whatever, cloaks. Yeah. Can't do anything. I'm just sitting here. What am I doing? I have to go online. You have to go go into the photo mode while you have the mask on. Yeah. And then so you put your hood up, you have your mask on, you have to go into the photo mode. I have to click both sticks or whatever, and then I have to look away and then look at myself, and that glitches the mask off. And then I get out of photo mode, and then all of a sudden the thing that I originally wore just magically appeared and popped on, and then I didn't have it on anymore.
So this is a thing that's happening for a lot of people then. If you found it online.
I found it instantly. Yeah. It happens. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand the purpose of just not having the item. I don't know game developer wise. I was trying to think.
That went overlooked.
I went game developer wise. Like, how could you not make it an item? Make it a cloak. Make it its own cloak.
Yeah, that's one of those things that went overlooked.
I don't know. It was weird. It was just weird. And it took, and I don't want to ever go, and listen, when I go back there, it automatically puts everything back on.
So I'm never going there ever.
I don't want to do anything. I think I have like 1 or 2 items to grab or whatever from that artifacts or whatever. But I'm just sitting here like, what? Just make it a part of the game. If you're gonna make me wear something, make it a part of like the entire thing. Like if you go into this town at night dressed as this character, people are scared of you, or I don't know if that's too difficult to write as far as AI things go. And the other thing I love, I didn't use this ability for like 150 hours. It's where you feign death. Do you have?
Oh.
That is so. I didn't think that would be useful, and I'm thinking, why would I do this? This doesn't make any sense. I get caught, but I didn't know it calms everybody down. So if you get caught and you trigger it, you just fall over, and then everyone's like, "Oh, we got him, everybody!" And then like most of them go away, and then a group of them will come over towards you, and you can select which one you want to assassinate real quick. So then you pop up and you kill. And then I'm like, this is amazing. So if you see a big guy that you don't want to really deal with, you can feign death. He comes over to you, and then you pick him, assassinate him, and then you can deal with the little ones. So it's a real interesting strategic ability that I wouldn't have thought of, to feign death. And I'm just like, that's really cool.
When I was at, I don't think we talked about this. When I was at your house last time, and you're like you're trying to find those explosive barrels for the walls, and you're like, man, I can't find them, man. Fuck, where are they? And I'm like, just use the explosive arrows. You're like, what are you talking about? Like the explosive arrows. You're like,
I was 60 to 70 hours in, and I didn't know that those because for some reason I've been trying for the longest time since I've played video games. I've always found 1 or 2 different skills and just stuck with those and didn't really.
Same here. I think we all do that. Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to figure, since I'm playing this game, since I'm committed to playing this game, getting everything in the game. I'm just trying out new things, just trying to experiment with new abilities. There's some obviously I like, and there's some I don't like. They're kind of the similar thing. And then I like that there was one, it slows time down, and you can rush, and you can assassinate people really quickly.
I think so.
But if they see, but then you have to put it in a way where they can't see you. So you have to like run up behind someone, get that person, and then run up behind the other person.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, you only have like your stamina meter as far as the time goes. That's interesting. There's the slow down bow arrow thing. I never used that, but I realized that was so helpful in so many different scenarios. And then I only used the hunter's bow instead of the predator's bow and then the light bow. I always used just the hunter's bow because it was a normal, but now I can zoom in with the predator bow. I don't have the slow arrow yet. I'm like, I don't want to control the arrow really. And then, so I haven't done that yet. So then I'm thinking, well, I should do that. I should experience that part of the game as well. I'm in this game for goddamn 200 hours almost now.
Yeah, right.
I might as well experience it. So yeah, I'm just trying to get over this mental block of not being able to do that. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, so I'm like, just you're like, what are you talking about? And then you switch over.
What are you? Why are you
Boom!
trying?
You're like-
It changed the whole game. I don't need it changed the whole game because I don't look for that anymore at all. I don't look for those jars.
I don't need those.
I was looking. It was in oh where what's that place you go when you go to Valhalla
Mm.
and there's all those doors that you have to
Yeah.
all those things you have to explode. I looked forever for the little pot vases with the shit to throw or whatever, like in 2 or 3 of them, and it was hours, Ray, hours, and I could have used the bow the whole time.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna show you. Okay, so you've seen. Okay, so this right here. This is the Oculus Quest 2. Okay, this is the hand, the controller. When I opened it up, it came like this. Okay, look, this right here.
Okay.
This is how you tighten it, right? So it came like that, and what I would do, I had it for probably 2-3 months. Okay, and I didn't like it. I was like, man, that's so weird, man. I don't like how. And then you have to sit here and then like to put it on, I have to sit here and fucking grab it and try to work its way up. Blah blah blah, do that. And then I told Dylan to come over, and I told Dylan I showed him the hold on, where the fuck did it go? Oh, there's one. I told Dylan
Cool
with the Quest with the Rift S, they came out of the box like this, right? And I was like, I like that better because I can just do it real quick, right? And I was like, I don't like that you can't that's so dumb. And Dylan he looks at me, he goes, you haven't figured that out yet? Immediately, I went, oh my God, and I did that. Fuck me. Immediately, dude, he said that, dude, immediately. He looked at me, he goes, you haven't figured it out yet? And immediately I realized I was like, oh my God. Dude, he was laughing for like 20 minutes. For like 20 minutes, I've had this fucking thing for fucking 2 to 3 months. Well, I mean, it's been long now, but then it was like this. I don't like how that, oh my God, like, fuck off! Jesus Christ. So I get it. Like,
You don't think of it. You don't think of it.
Yeah.
And then it's always like it's always the developer's fault or the designer's fault.
I know, right?
Never us, the consumer. It's like, why is this like? It's like, well, they went through all the testing. They have.
Oh man, that's so funny. It's so fucking funny. Yeah, Dylan, he just looks at me.
Oh, Dylan should have made fun of you for hours.
Oh no, he did.
He
He's
did.
just like, well, he was laughing too hard to fucking really say anything. My dumbass.
I just have to move it down, and then it fixes my whole problem.
Oh, I was like, yeah, it's so funny too, because right when he said that, I just realized, and oh my God, fucking.
Like my hand doesn't have to go in it first. I'm okay.
Yeah, I know. And then just your reaction too, and I was like, just use it, and you did it. Boom, you're like,
okay, well that changes the whole game that I've been searching around through.
Yeah, you're just like,
thanks, Ray. I appreciate it though, because I'd still be looking for those jars. I'd still be looking for those jars. I wouldn't have known because I thought it was a trap.
Yeah, you thought it was just like it was proximity.
Yeah, because if you shoot it in anything else.
Well, no, the video shows that. The video, the little tutorial of it shows it. It shows him shoot it in the ground, and then the dude comes up, the enemy comes up, and then it explodes. So I get it. They kind of.
I thought you meant that that video shows him shooting the walls.
No.
Yeah, it shows a person shooting that little trap in the ground, and the guy comes over and blows up. Okay, this isn't going to work in the doors then. Okay, otherwise I have to walk by it, trigger it, and then I die. I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's weird. But yeah, that was a big miss. That was a big swing.
All right, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. All happens.
I don't feel. But Battlefield news. Did you hear about Battlefield news?
So what I heard, I don't know if what you heard was more recent, but what I heard is Criterion, they're helping out, okay, and they're part of like the Need for Speed and stuff like that with like vehicles and.
Yeah, that got delayed. So
Need for Speed, that got delayed.
Yeah.
Okay, and
not
then
Battlefield, calm down.
No,
not yet. Anyway.
So Battlefield, I was watching Jack Frags on YouTube, and he was going over what like one of the developers, I think it was, were saying they have DICE LA working on this. And they worked on Battlefield 4, and then they said that this next Battlefield is on an unprecedented scale, okay? And they said that this next Battlefield is, and I quote, a love letter to Battlefield fans. And I was like,
Well, what else would he say? He's not gonna say,
No,
"Hey,
no, a
you know
love
those
letter.
Battlefield games you don't like is just like those."
Well, I'm guessing I'm guessing what they mean by a love letter is I'm guessing it's like because Battlefield 4 was one of the more popular ones. I'm guessing it's more like that and what more people want.
It's possible. I saw there was one rumor that they're just gonna call it Battlefield.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, they're just gonna call it Battlefield. And then there was the stupid article was Battlefield is what was it? Battlefield is following Call of Duty's footsteps. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what is that? I'm like, what is exactly does that? So, and then I know it's a clickbait article, but I wanted to see what they were talking about. And it goes into, and then of course, it's the thing that I'm looking for is 8 paragraphs into the damn article. And it's like, rumor is Battlefield will just be called Battlefield. They're resetting it. There's no more numbers. There's no.
Oh, so they're not actually. Oh, so dumb.
Yeah. So I'm like, but it doesn't like Battlefield. Like Call of Duty is the first game to reset the numbers or whatever. So I'm like, that's all. I thought it was like a gameplay feature, not the title of the game. That's what I'm thinking.
And you know,
but that's
so
what
fucking,
that's what they wanted. So that's what I clicked on.
It's so fucking because Call of Duty actually followed in Battlefield's footsteps because with Modern Warfare they have what's called I think ground war and it's literally conquest. I'm not kidding. There's vehicles.
All games kind of like
no.
If something is popular, I mean you can't say no because
no. What I'm saying is
Battle Royales became popular now. Almost every damn game. I'm surprised NBA games don't have Battle Royale.
No. Battle Royale is a specific type of shooter. It's a first-person shooter or third-person, but that's a type of
I would say it's
mode
a
or game.
Mode. I would say it's a game mode, not a type of shooter.
But that's a particular. But what I'm saying is ground where I played it. You can spawn on your teammates.
That's
okay. That's from
always,
Battlefield.
That's always awesome, and part of me likes to be the spawn beacon, like let you, Dylan, and Jake go forward, and then you all die, and then I just okay, I'm gonna stay right here.
We're on the top of the team, bitch.
I'm not saying that's fine, but me and Jake are the ones fixing your tanks and all that stuff. So that's why I like playing as 2 support characters and then 2 more assault. Go kill people. I like that dynamic because then we're not all doing the same thing.
I mean, I have a good variety of playing like medic. Like I'll play medic on like the maps where there's no vehicles, but because and then like support as well. But I just don't like when I'm on a map and I'm saying like a medic and I come and a tank comes. I don't like having.
Oh, you have nothing. You have.
I'm like I hate that. I really hate that.
And
also
smoke
shooting.
Grenade. That's what you have.
And then because I don't like running, and also I really, really, really enjoy shooting the tanks.
Well, it's fun, yeah.
So just shoot it, fucking bam, and then all the sparks and shit fly. You're like, oh man, I just like getting the kill scene explode. So,
the reason I'm support is it support or
support?
Yes, because it used to be engineer class, right? Or am I crazy?
No, engineer is like the subclass where you can repair, and then I can't remember the other one. There's like
remember
two for
you
each.
always, but in this one you can always repair. There is no repair tool that you can equip. It's just a natural thing that all support classes can do now.
No, I think it's you're because it's support and then you select the role. I think it is engineer is like the one where you can repair the tanks, and the other one is I can't remember. We'd have to look at it.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, I think in the Battlefield 5, I don't think there is. At least what I've found anyway. I don't think there is. I think any support role you can bring out the torch because I looked and there's no way you can actually select the repair torch. But anyways, but I like being that.
What I'm saying is because in assault you can be tank bust. You can select the roles of like tank buster where you have, I think it's more ammunition towards tanks to like for like rockets and stuff, and then there's another support where it's like more towards infantry.
Okay, maybe roles. Yeah. Okay, maybe I didn't see that. Okay, you're the Battlefield expert, so I'm gonna concede to you. But I couldn't see that. But I just like being able to help the tanks, and I can also hurt the tanks a little bit. It's not a lot because you have that grenade like shooter that.
Yeah, well, you can equip other things too. Obviously, you can like the anti-tank mines or like the
not
like Dylan.
Well, not a support.
No, yeah, you can have the lunge mine. Dylan does that. You have to unlock it. You have to buy it.
Okay.
He'll do that, buy that. Look at like what you can select. Like go into experiment, okay? Because they do. There's a lot more. They have a lot more. They have a lot more equipment that you can use and stuff like that.
Okay. I haven't really looked because most of the time I get an invite from you. I got an invite from you and completely forgot about it. I got home and then Corey we got a massage gun. Those vibrating things. So she did me with that. And then I completely forgot. And then we went out. That was Saturday you called, right?
I think I called like once Saturday and then a couple times on Sunday.
No, when you talked to me when I was running. When I was out.
Oh yeah, that was Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, and then I went to go watch the UFC fight, which was good. UFC fights.
Yeah, I heard on Saturday that there's a lot of
Yeah, there was obviously a fight indoor. People don't even care about. It was awesome, Ray. I got to sit down, kind of indoors, and watch a pay-per-view fight. It was great. It was
if
amazing.
you want, when you guys come up Friday, we can go to Whiskey Barrel. Or, there's a couple bars up here that are saying, fuck it, we don't care. We're open. Like, Whiskey Barrel's been open for a while.
Did you hear the CDC said they'll allow people? It's so great that they'll allow people to get in them. I'm so great they allow people to do it. But if you have all vaccinated people can sit in bars now or sit indoors now. And
what about people who've already been exposed to COVID? Oh, you mean we have an immune system that
is better than
that's 100%? Fuck off! Oh my God! Sorry, don't get me started.
I'm just confused. I'm confused. But
the problem is, man, like the CDC and the WHO, that's been politicized. It's
weird. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I want to obviously I'm going to trust the doctors because they know more about it than I do. But I know certain doctors, they over exaggerate things.
Yeah.
To scare people into. I know certain.
Yeah, like you heard.
Like, well, I don't want to get too much into a political thing about it. But I know because I was listening to Dr. Drew and he was talking about a certain person who is a very important doctor, at least very popular doctor right now, during the AIDS epidemic, when they said this was going to be a huge thing and it's going to kill so many. It's like, and the reason he said that is he's like, well, we have to scare them into. He's like, well, it won't actually do this, but we're going to say it is because we don't want we wanted them to take it seriously. So we're going to make it sound scarier than it actually is. And he was like, he over predicted how destructive that the AIDS epidemic would be to the gay population. And so I'm like, you lied. That's not. And I'm like, not Dr. Drew, but the doctor.
Yeah.
I was like, so he over-exaggerated something to get the results that he wanted? He didn't tell the truth? I thought telling the truth is important as a medical professional. I was like, well, if you exaggerate it a little bit, it's fine. You're treating people like children, and then you wonder why they don't trust you. Like, so, I don't know. That's a whole, I don't know why I got onto that.
No, it's fine.
Oh, the UFC fight in the bars. I was like, why would I talk about that? But it was great. I saw Israel Adesanya fight. It was cool. Amanda Nunes, like the greatest women's fighter of all time. She just destroyed this girl. Her name was Megan, but Megan. That was how she pronounced. I'm like, it's Megan. Megan. What? This doesn't make sense.
Megan, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. She was a big girl though. She was like 6'1". She weighed in at 145, but she probably was 150, 160. She was big. She was a big girl, big tall girl. But she
got demolished.
Oh yeah, it was like I was in there with Amanda Nunes. It's so interesting to see Amanda Nunes fight. Certain women look like they actually know what they're doing and how to fight, and it looks like I don't know if they haven't fought so much. Like it hasn't, like women's fighting hasn't been around for generations. So some of the women who are more natural or have been fighting since birth, I guess, have this huge advantage. I mean,
oh yeah,
the Megan girl looked like me throwing a punch. Like it was, I've never been trained how to properly, like I don't know how to hold my wrist or defend or anything like that. Like that, she looked like me in there, and she just got dismissed. I felt bad for her.
Or kind of like how, man, I tell you, with like Mike Tyson, and like he would literally make undefeated champions, look like amateurs, look like they didn't know what they're doing.
It's real weird. It's
But I'm saying, I'm like, what? Okay, I don't even know.
I
don't even know.
but
have
that
no
kind of
words for it.
greatness, and then part of me was thinking how crazy it is that society has accepted that. How like I would say progressive, but that has been to me that's more of a negative term. Like in my
Mm-hmm.
head, it's been used as a negative term, but I guess it's true. But like how we've accepted women fighting, like when Dana White said there'd be no women in the UFC ever, and a year or two later, Ronda Rousey is on
Yeah, blown
billboards,
up.
blowing up, and that led the way to Mana Nunes and all these other people that know how to fight, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, all these other things. So I'm just like, that's really cool how people who didn't want to see women fighting, and it's if you're undeniable, it's not like they were trying to hold women down, but they just didn't know.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
there has to be someone undeniable to be so entertaining that people want to watch and pay for. And at the time, there was no market for it. But then once the smaller, and it always has to start out small. That's what I don't understand. Like the women fighting happened at these local levels and then became more popular. And then they became a little bit bigger. And then they got in. The UFC was like, hey, that's working way down there. Let's try it up here. And it worked.
Well, it's just, I mean, you could use it for anything though. That's just like, it's like me starting a streaming. If I started streaming a lot more,
Yeah.
I'd start out at 0 viewers. And if I kept going and people saw, hey, this guy's actually funny. If I kept going for a while and being consistent with it, people, and, maybe someone might see like, hey, this guy's actually funny. Let's, maybe, if I became affiliate and became partnered, I might get a couple hundred viewers. That's just, so it's, you could use it with any, but of course, the whole problem is, what a lot of the people, the extremists do, they use that, like that scenario that you just were talking about the women with the UFC, and they say, no, that's sexism. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Like,
Oh, it's
these
sexism.
people are they're businessmen. They will put anything on the screen that
Yeah, if it's working, if it's going to make the money, they don't care if it's man, woman, gay. They don't care. As long as it makes the money, they care about money. They don't care about, like, it's not.
Yeah,
they don't care if they're black,
it,
green, white, or orange. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're transgender. It doesn't matter if this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to make me money? Like, I care about that. Like, come on, like, shit.
How much money are you gonna put on this exciting fight that people want to watch? That's what we're in the business of.
And it's just like when Ronda Rousey was asked that question all those years ago. Do you think it's unfair that Floyd Mayweather gets paid all this money and you don't? And she's like, well, if I was fucking 49-0, then yeah, I'd be making that much money. Like, she completely just destroyed that whole question.
People just think that just because you're someone has been something that's been established and has so much foundational growth and built, then they just
it has to be racist. It has to be racist or it has to be sexist.
Just started it, yeah. And I'm just like, no, that's not what we're saying. That's the NBA started out. That's what the WNBA players think they should make just as much money as the NBA players. I'm like, you're not in the same league. You're not in the same league, so
not even the same.
I'm talking about the actual league. Like, you're not in the NBA. Like, and the NBA the reason the WNBA players get paid is the NBA takes some of their money and gives it to them. Gives it to them. So like, if it wasn't for the NBA, you wouldn't have a league in America.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you wouldn't even have a league.
Yeah, so it's just interesting that
in the NBA, it's just like football. NBA and the football has been
around for
how long? How long
ago? Yeah. So it's just an interesting. Like, I don't like when people see something that's already built and has this. It's so popular. It's so, and then, well, I just started. Why am I not making that much money? I'm like, you're not. That's not it. That's not the same thing. That's not.
No. Yeah.
I don't like Serena Williams makes more money than a lot of the pro male tennis players.
Yeah, exactly. Why? Because she's been doing it for so fucking long.
Yeah, like if some new guy
she already has a huge fan base.
That's sexist. Why am I? I'm like, no, that's not.
But
she's winning. You're not.
No man is going to do that. No man is going to say, "Oh, she's winning," because we understand, we get it. We're like, we know why.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, man,
it's an interesting conversation. It's an interesting thing to have. And then I got into a conversation with transgender athletes, like in high school and college. And like, I think they like, if the women are, come to think of it, if women don't care about it, why do I care about it in a way? Like, if women are accepting male-born people into their sport that identify as a woman, why do I care? It's not going to ruin, I'm going to be selfish in this instance and say, it's not going to ruin the NBA. There's no gender that's like physically superior than men that's going to come in and make it not fair. You know, there's no giants out there. You know what I mean? Well, the giants are in the NBA, but there's no like.
But women do care. There are women.
Well, some do.
Speaking out
Well, yeah.
against it.
Well, you know, a lot do, and if they
Mm.
speak out, they get demolished and they get
And
canceled.
that's
That's the issue.
that's the issue. Yeah.
That's the issue. But because you can't have a normal conversation about it. People.
But I
think
mean, it's just like that transgender UFC fighter caved in, or not caved in, but
well,
cracked.
it wasn't a UFC. There's no person who's transgender that was fought in the UFC. They fought in mixed martial arts. They fought in a cage, but it wasn't in the UFC.
Okay, it doesn't matter if it.
Well, I understand that, but I don't want like Dana White's not gonna, the CEO is not gonna let that happen. He's not gonna.
Yeah, okay, that's a good.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care what you. I don't care.
I don't care.
You're not. You were born a man. You're not fighting in this ring with a woman. No, that's a good point. That's a good point to make.
Yeah, he's not going to.
But it just shows. But that's just right there. It just shows.
Yeah, but what I don't like is if women have they should know what gender you were at birth, and then they can make a educated decision. So there are some women who can destroy men. So if there's a transgender person,
well, yeah, but I mean,
yeah,
but the whole thing is
it's not always unfair because we don't know about the guy. But in most cases, well, mostly all, 90%.
Like what was that track? The track run. I think you saw it where the one dude he identified as, he was born male, but he identified as female, and then it showed him fucking smoking the other women, just running, just phew, and the women are like, I'm like,
I don't. It's for me as a sport, because I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because we want to be inclusive. But we also want to we don't want to ostracize people. We don't want to say, because I was told that they weren't allowed to compete at anything. And I'm like,
why don't you just have all transgender sports?
Well, because then you don't have, if they want to compete in the sport, then there's not enough of them. And then my argument is, well, I went to a high school that nobody wanted to play football. So we didn't have a football team. So how do I play football at my high school when there's not enough people interested in it? I just don't play football. They're not going to make up a whole thing or whatever. Like, can I go to a different school and compete on a different school's football team when I go to a different, high school? So I'm like, what exactly? Like, I don't understand those rules about it. Like, there's not enough. Like, but you can have a transgender like Olympic Games, but they want to be considered. They want to be considered. They consider themselves men and women, naturally born. But then you get into this whole gender and sex are different. Like the biological sex and gender is how you feel, how you identify with. And that I'm just starting to wrap my head around as a person. But then as far as sports go, well, like gender, because there's certain people who are more feminine. So what,
it doesn't mean you're a female though.
No. No, not like, obviously like whatever you want to, what we could, because I consider a man someone who was born a man. He's got, male private parts and then can impregnate a woman. That's what I consider a man. But some men can't impregnate someone. But like you understand what I'm saying. Like when I say that, people, well, some people are sterile. That's not, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. So it's like, it's a weird thing that I'm trying to educate myself about because I'm trying to accept different ideas. But but like for sports is you're trying to make things fair and include the biggest group possible. So we understand that men and women competing in physical sports is unfair to the women. Because if we just opened it up to like co-ed, women wouldn't have any sports teams.
Yeah, that's the problem. So I mean, if you think
we have to cut it off in male and female, but then so we got those two separate groups, but then we can't keep filter, and we have age groups. Like we have sports. Yeah. Growing up basketball wise, there was age groups that I played in the age because I was good at basketball, and in a grade or not a grade, and a few years ahead because the competition where I was, it was unfair. They didn't want down there. They didn't want me to play down there. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. For my own personal growth as a player at that age,
to get better,
it was better for me to compete against people who knew what they were doing. We have. So if you want to separate these things, and it's like, well, segregation is wrong. We shouldn't have separation. It's like we separate fighting by weight because we know that's a disadvantage. We separate sports by age because we know that's an advantage. So we do that all the time to try to make things fair. What's the difference of this? There is no difference. There's no difference. So I'm just like, I don't understand the issue. Like if they want to compete, but that's fine, they can compete, but they're taking college scholarships away, which could lead to jobs, your whole future, away from the people who have fought. So I mean, women had to fight just to have sports, period. They wouldn't let women play basketball, I was going to say football, but they don't really play soccer, field hockey. They had to fight for all these things. And then in my head, I'm thinking, well, this guy who was born a man, now identifies as a woman, that's fine. But now he is taking all of those advantages and just dropping into the women's world. And so like, when is that, the argument that was made is, well, it's not a high percentage of women that are being disenfranchised or however you want to say, disadvantaged. It's not a high percentage.
Because there's only like a few transgender athletes. There's a small,
very now more and more people are becoming transgender.
Exactly.
Right?
So
now there's going to be more and more of them. So I'm wondering, what is the tipping point in a more progressive liberal mindset?
Well, see,
what's the tipping point? So like 10 is fine. 10 is okay. 10 women can lose their college scholarship. What about 1,000? What about?
And that's the whole problem.
So I'm wondering in their head is like, hey, no, this is not fair. When do women's rights?
That's the whole problem when it comes to the liberal progressive kind of thing. They don't know where. How do I say it? They don't know where truth begins and hypocrisy ends. They don't know where they don't know where, because they have you have the leftist liberal progressives that are feminists who are all for women's rights. But then you have the transgenders who women are literally, like you said, are losing scholarships to competing with these transgenders. But no, we have to be more inclusive for transgenders. Well, what about women's rights? What about transgenders? And like you said,
it's an interesting thing. And then
that's where the chaos. That's why we've had it to where you have women compete with women, men compete with men, and it's worked for years. It's worked. That's the fairest you can be.
Yeah, and you want to make rules that include the most amounts of the biggest groups of people, but you also don't want to exclude somebody from playing a sport. So I'm thinking you can play the sport. Like there's no easy answers to say if you want to include everybody.
Just have transgender sports. Like if you want to play sports, go into transgender sports. Then how we have men and women.
Yeah, and then I think this is like a weird thing because some people are like, well, I'm not transgender, I am a woman, and then so you get into that, but then you can't. So where you're breaking all of these people down into these groups instead of having a clear cut men over here, women over here, and then we split them up in men and women. Then we split them up into age groups because we know that's not fair, like I said, and then weight classes in fighting competitions. So I'm just thinking. I'm trying to wrap my head around the fairest thing possible. And then I go, well, just make all sports co-ed. And then women are going, no, that's too extreme. Transgender athletes. That's too extreme. Why? Because there's an unfair advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So that's the same thing we're saying about transgender women popping into women's sports. And if they want to compete and then not win, like not be eligible for scholarships, maybe they can create transgender scholarships or whatever you want to be called, whatever you want to be called, have those scholarships for that. And I can't believe that first of all, I'm not a feminist. I've always just jokingly made fun of women just because it's funny. But I can't believe I have this feeling of wanting to protect an entire group of people that's not me really. Like I've never been like, they should be allowed to vote. Obviously, just be treated equal. But I've never been the, I don't know how to say it, like the opposite. I'm fighting for something that some people aren't really fighting for, or I have a feeling of fighting for something that nobody really cares about.
So I have two things. So I understand what you're saying. The thing about like Republicans or conservatives, whatever, is it's not that they're, because we're accepting of everyone. It's okay. You're transgender. Okay, that's fine. But what the problem is where we have to say, when it comes to a talk of science, bless you. When it comes to a talk of science, if we say that, okay, well, you were born a male. No, you can't say that. No, that's where the problem is. That's where they're trying to change what we say and trying to change science, basically. And I'm like,
Yeah,
if
and
you
I
want to
heard
be
someone
transgender, that's
talk
fine.
about there's scientific
That's
studies
fine.
that XX chromosomes and XY chromosomes, there's not even a consensus between scientists about that. And I'm just like, there's never a consensus. There's never going to be a 100% group of people that agree with each other. There are
But of
doctors.
course,
There are doctors that think aliens exist and ghosts exist and spiritual and all that stuff. They're professional doctors. So you can't use that. Like, what do most medical professionals, as far as scientists who go into DNA, biologists, I don't know if that's the right term to use. What do they say about, sex?
XX and X,
Like,
yeah.
and let's go. Those are the rules. We're making these rules that whatever, that you can even say society. We have to make rules to try to make everything fair, or everything's co-ed. Everyone can compete.
And you know what's
We're
funny
making
too
these
is
rules we're making a sport is a made up rules. I can't bring a basketball onto a football field and go, guys, we're going to play with this because that's what I'm comfortable with. It's like, no, that we all agree to these rules. So like the body, I guess it's up to the the board or whatever of the sport in the school or whatever to say, yeah, if you're what we consider a man is someone who's biologically male who has these sex organs. And then if you have these sex organs, and then they can go like, what about hermaphrodites who have both or whatever? What do they? I don't know. What do they feel?
Well,
and then I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm like, I don't know what's fair to a very, very small percentage of people, but I'm not going to hurt a bigger percentage of people, say women, allowing you to, because you identify as a woman or however you want to identify as. It bothers me because you're hurting something else. Like your rights, it comes off to me as your rights are more important than the fairness of that. And it's only in sports that it really,
that's the problem.
yeah, it only consists in sports, because anything else, like, see, if you want to say chess
As of now,
or checkers, I'm saying there's nothing I'm talking about women getting damaged
physically.
Yeah, the thing I really care about is cage fighting, and there was a few fighters, or one or two, that didn't even tell the women that they went through. Like, one of them had kids, I think. One of them had children. So there's also that. He's like, well, he's always been a woman. I was like, well, even when he impregnated a woman? Like, and then we get into this weird headspace that, like, no, he hasn't always been a woman, because what society thinks is a man, the man impregnates the woman. And I can't even wrap my head around a woman can impregnate a woman. Like, then the word doesn't mean anything then. The words don't.
Well, you know, it's funny. Have you noticed
down this fucking rabbit hole?
Have you noticed that there haven't been any women who transition into a man and competing in men's sports?
Well, there has been, but you don't hear about it. They don't win anything.
Why? Because there's differences between men and women.
There's huge difference. Anyone who says there's not, I think, is medically.
They're disingenuous.
It's mentally, it's just, disingenuous. They're disingenuous, or they have a mental disability.
Yeah, they're.
But because like anything else, I don't really care about, because I don't see an advantage to being a man. Maybe like a construction worker, but there are female construction workers. There are people, like your mom did construction, and she could manual labor outwork me. So I'm like, I don't understand, like, just in sports is, somewhere where I it's my, like, entertainment is what I like.
Yeah, that's what you
kind of identify as. Like, I identify with sports more than anything. So I see like a little thing that's not fair, or like it brings up these like emotions in me. I'm like, that it makes me feel like shit knowing that of someone who was born a man said that they were a woman and got into a cage and fractured a woman's skull.
Yeah, and you know, she was called
that should be illegal. That should be illegal. Like, if the woman says, yeah, I know he used to be a man and it's fine, then she has the free will to go do that. But to hide it is wrong. And then
be called courageous for it. I'm like,
yeah, hero, which I don't understand.
Oh my God.
Because in my head, Caitlyn Jenner becoming Woman of the Year, if I was a woman, I would be upset that a person who was born as a man, competed in a male athletes, which just, there's a joke in there where even a man is better than all women. There's a joke in there. There's something in there.
Yeah.
He's like, this person who used to be a man was a woman for 6 months and won Woman of the Year. How hard is it really to be a woman? I mean, how hard is it really? It took 6 months. So you can make these jokes, but I see it as like a funny different
Oh
funny
my
angles
God,
to it. But I'm just wondering, like, to me, that would upset me because as far as women who have had to fight for equality, like they were just
I
pushed to
know.
the side. Like
I know.
you can't read books, you can't go outside,
You can't teach. You can't do this. You can't do that.
Yeah, so it's like you have to cover your face. Like you
And
are
now
not an individual.
you're just sitting there and you're like,
I'm sitting here like
this
you
motherfucker.
guys aren't up in arms. You guys don't.
I know. But see, that's the
up
thing.
in arms about this.
Like think about how many celebrity women who are actually upset about that, but they can't say anything because they'll be canceled.
They can't. They won't get work. They won't get work.
And that's another thing, man. That right there is where, for me, because I know you say, well, it's the extremism. I'm like, no. This extremism is now normalism, because people are being canceled for saying how they feel, speaking about how unfair it is. So it's not extremism anymore. It's normalism. Yeah. It's normalized now.
If you I think if you because it's all if you're chastising or criticizing these people like for being a trans person, that's obviously and if you're, I don't think you should be canceled if it's your stance or whatever. If you slip up and say something, I think you should be forgiven. Like you should be, hey man, that's not cool. I believe in forgiveness more than anything. But if you're against them and you don't think they're less than, like, yeah, then you need to be. I don't want to. If I'm following you, if I'm watching basketball, and there's a basketball player who says something about gay people or about a certain race of a person or anything like that, it's like, I'm not buying your jersey. I'm not watching any games that you're in. I'm not doing I completely turned off by that, by discriminating against somebody. Yeah. For whatever reason. But if you're just like having a conversation, like, hey, like the JR, the Harry Potter author,
yeah,
J.K. Rowling,
yeah,
she just mentioned in a tweet that it's like, hey, what is this going to do about women's rights? And she said she was transphobic, and I'm like, no, that's a question that we're talking. Can we talk? She didn't come out and said these damn blah blah blahs are trying to take. She didn't say anything like that. She just asked a question. At least what I saw.
And I saw the tweet too. Yeah, it was legit. Just
it was.
She's like, okay, what about this?
It was real weird, and I'm thinking like that's what upsets you. It's just a question. So like you don't want any opposing ideas to your belief system. But that's how the best idea wins, is two ideas come together and then
of course
you talk about it and then you're like, okay, well, either side. So I don't understand that. Anyone who's telling someone else to shut up and you can't say something, that I'm more concerned with that than this question about trans people. A polite way of asking a question like, hey, we fought so hard for women's rights. Are these trans rights at all going to affect women's rights? So
I know, and that right there, look, like I said, I understand this is a kind of a hot topic for us. That right there, when you have a different idea and most celebrities, the media, the Democrats, whatever, they're literally telling you to shut up to the point where they're canceling you completely. That's a form of communism. That's literally what Hitler did. They called it control of information. Now it's called fact-checking. And I'm not saying communism is coming in. I'm not saying it's going to be this year, next year, or even the year after that. But that is a form of communism. That's what that is. Telling someone to shut up because they have a different idea. That's a form of fascism.
Yeah, it's just I don't think that's their motivation. I don't think, in my head, I don't think there's people who are secretly communist or even understand, because I think
there are Antifa.
Well,
the BLM, one of the co-founders.
It's a new name. Like they're not, which is interesting because everything gets reorganized and labeled something different. But it's the same ideas behind it. So it's this weird
anti-fascists.
That's what
it stands for.
It's always it's weird. But
I don't think
there's secret communists who are saying, "Wait, we can't look, guys. We're communists, but we can't call ourselves communists. So we're going to call ourselves something else. Just relabel."
No, of course, that's exactly what they're doing.
I think they fall into the idea of that. I think they fall into the idea of that, but they don't see themselves. I think they see themselves as trying to do good, which is dangerous. It's crazy. It's even more dangerous.
Well, that's what communists thought. They thought they were doing good.
Well, yeah, and that's what I don't understand. It's like millions of people. I listened to Jordan Peterson, and he talks about like Maoist China and Russia and all these places that tried Marxism and this form of communism, and it killed hundreds of millions of people. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, well, we tried that. That didn't work. Could we just focus on what we're doing and then slightly improve it. Because I think that like society is too big, obviously, to change overnight. So it's going to happen. Anything that happens to our society is going to happen slowly.
Yeah,
Because it's just too
very,
big.
yeah,
It's just
very,
too big.
very,
There's
and
nothing that's
especially since
gonna,
and the reason why for the U.S. why it's taking even longer is because we have the Constitution. That's the whole thing.
yeah. So
That's why it's
I
taking.
don't think because in America it's because there are the checks and balances of everything. So it's not like, oh, you have to have a 51%. Like, no, you have to have like a 2/3. Like like the big majority of people have to agree on something for something to pass along those lines. And then there's different ways you can kind of finagle things in. But then the next like the executive orders. Then the next president can come in and just, okay, all those executive orders gone. These are executive orders here. And there's a good reason that we've been balanced and been around this long and stayed on top as far as, power and all that stuff. And we have a huge military. So there's those things. And it's like when people talk about how bad America is, I'm just like, who else would you want as the world leader right now? Russia, China, Japan. Like we saw what Japan tried to, like we saw all those things. Huh?
And
like,
and that's the thing too. Like
we're
these,
the evil people. Like, yes, we do evil things, but that's because we're human. That's not because we're America.
and that's the thing too. Is like these people, like these Antifa members. They were born into America, so they don't know any different. They don't know how communism and socialism really are. Like and a lot of people like to use Sweden. I saw a video on someone who lived in Sweden. They're like, no, they broke it down to like, and they gave even like in their, it was on TikTok, but they gave like actual, I took a screenshot of it. They gave websites like like where you can verify her information, and just about all of the businesses are privatized still. It's not government owned. Like it's not one whole. It's they're like
they use that
have
as
a little,
like, oh, this is so good. Look what they're doing over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's what Bernie Sanders, he uses Sweden all the time, and he completely gives false or even misleading or even completely false information.
And Sweden isn't
like,
as big as us. So
that's another thing too. They're mostly capitalism. They're still mostly capitalism. Like
a system that manages 10 people is not going to possibly could not work on a system that manages 10,000 people. So that's
apparently she was saying that the poor out there in Sweden pay more taxes than the rich do. I was like, what the fuck does that? How does that work?
Or like
that was weird. I didn't really look into it too much. Yeah, like a certain percentage of poor people. Like, but that's what she's saying. She was saying the poor people out here, they pay more taxes than rich. I was like, huh. like I said, I'd have to look into that more, obviously. But
it's an interesting like topic to decide. I know you see communism and everything. You send me messages on everything. I'm just like, okay, this is not
I get a little carried away.
Scare happening.
I get a little carried away, but like I said, I'm seeing these.
Well, trends. I think I think our grandparents have dealt with it, and we're not special. We're going to deal with it too. We have to not fight against it, but we have to be aware that these bad ideas are there. And like, hey, this has already been tried.
That's the thing. Like this time around, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's just gonna get worse. I think it's gonna get worse.
Dude, stop thinking. You're thinking. It's like
it's
like everybody in the like religious people think that Jesus is going to come back in my lifetime. You know how?
Well, it's funny though too. It's funny because
egotistical. You think you're the generation of people that this is going to happen. Come on,
it's so funny too because
I'm not saying don't be wary of it.
No, but it was there was this one pastor who basically said that because the Bible says we don't know. Like even Jesus Christ himself doesn't know when God is coming back. So, but the pastor, he was like,
which is a weird thing to wrap your head around. Speaking about things to wrap your head around, I can't wrap my head around that.
The Holy Trinity,
gender studies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Yeah, but the pastor, he was talking. I can't remember who he was talking to. It was a while ago. I don't know if you watched it, but he basically said the same thing. He's like, there have been Christians generations ago, even when Jesus, or even after Jesus, like Christians who, after the crucifixion, like tens of years after Jesus was crucified, there have been Christians saying, it's end times, and he's like. We don't know.
There's always people, and
it was cool to hear a pastor say that, and I'm like,
yeah, because it's not. I hear all these people like this is the worst. Like my dad, this is the worst it's ever been. This is the worst it's ever been. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not the worst. No, it's not the worst.
He was like this. I've never seen America so divided. And I was like, America fought a civil war, and hundreds of thousands of Americans died. the most bloody war. I would say that's a little bit more divided. Hypothetically, I would say it's more. Just
but I think it's just what is scaring people is the fact that yes,
it's
these
the media.
communism.
It's the media. I don't think it's real.
These communistic ideas. Well, it is real. $3 billion in damage from BLM and Antifa.
I think the media inflates the differences. If you watch the media, you would think that every white person hates a black person, or now
of course.
Now it's every Asian is getting beat up on the streets. That thing, and I'm just like,
where did I read that? Where did I read that? Like, where
you would think this is happening all of the time, but yet when I go out onto the streets, the mean streets of San Diego.
Everything's fine.
I'm fine. It's not.
But then you have to ask yourself.
These are extremist assholes that are it's a very rare occasion that these things happen, and then people also get tired, even of protesting for something that matters. People are going to get tired of it, even if it's something important. The government's just going to wait it out. They're like, okay, you're mad. Okay, we're going to wait it out. The fires will go away. Remember Occupy Wall Street? That went away. Hong Kong, they can't protest anymore. They're
Well, that's a whole different.
Well, I know
the only reason why they stopped protesting is
they were just like, okay, we're waiting. We're gonna figure out a way to take all this over. So there's not. It does. You're just gonna wait it out. People get tired and bored and they move on to things. They have to have a job. They have to, in a way, jobs kind of make people too busy to do all this stuff or whatever. But
you know what? Can I say something off subject? This is just off subject. I don't know. I've gotten to, ever since I started living. I was just because there's this situation's going on. Danielle, she's looking for another job because her manager was fired, and then so
are they not hiring her because she's a woman?
No. So Danielle, no, she's definitely far from a feminist. But Danielle, there's before one of the other managers came over because their manager was fired. There's 2 people working there in the entire store. Danielle's had to work several days in a row by herself, running the entire store from open to closed. So Danielle, she's trying to look for another job.
And those companies will do that as long as they can get away with it and making money.
And that's why she's leaving. She's I helped her with her resume, update it, and then she's looking for other Bed Bath and I can't say this.
Bed Bath and Beyond?
Bed Bath and Body Works. Bath and Body. Fuck off! I don't know what it is. Anyways,
we're talking about trying to figure out gender, and we can't even say Bed Bath and Body Works.
I know.
Yeah, we're pretty dumb.
She was supposed to turn in a resume today, but she kind of ran out of time. And I said, and apparently something happened with her manager, with one of the new managers today. She was kind of upset about it, and I was like, "Did you turn in a resume today?" She's like, "I didn't have time." I'm like, "Danielle, you need to, but the whole point of this, why I'm saying this is because this happened with my parents, if what they're doing, I'll kind of be by myself. I'll kind of think, I'm like, I don't have to worry about it. Stop worrying about it. And I just calm down. I'm like, she'll figure it out. She's a grown woman. Like my parents, they're gonna have to figure it out. Like something with Josh, I'll get upset. And I'm like, why am I getting upset?
You have no control over it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm here alone. Why if Danielle doesn't get the job, I shouldn't be worried about it. Why? She's a grown woman. She knows what to do. She knew what to do.
There's plenty of other jobs that she can get.
Oh yeah, of course. But it's just, I know that I just was thinking about that, because I wanted her to succeed, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Regardless of our relationship, I wanted her to succeed, and be happy. But yeah, it's just not, because I used to have to worry about all that stuff, and now that I have my own place, and I'm just like,
you're trying. You're trying to.
I don't have to worry about it.
Or
yeah, and I'm just like,
people don't want help, or they're not. When you're worried about someone getting something, it's just well, I hope they do, but your kind of personality is you worry a little too much. Maybe I get it from my mom. But I said, I'm starting to learn how to not do that. I'm like with Josh, it's not your business. That's not, unless it directly affects you, then it's just that person can do whatever the hell they want to do. Yeah. I've had family members make mistakes too. And then other people come to me and it gets out, and then they're like, "Can you believe this person?" I'm like, "Is your family perfect?" I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's that
person.
Have you ever made mistakes? Oh, that's right. You have. So be quiet. Thank you. Stop.
Yeah. So this is kind of pump the brakes on all that.
Even though there are some people who have opportunities handed to them and never take them.
Oh.
Yeah, we're talking to you, Dylan.
Oh,
if you ever watch this, you don't watch this.
Opportunities.
That's so funny too.
Is he
Because
still working at the store, or is he? I don't want to say where he works.
no.
No, he.
No.
I wouldn't work if I was Dylan either. There's no point. Why? I'm gonna go work. I'm gonna go work and get the exact same stuff and things that I want to do that I'm having right now. I don't need to do anything. What am I?
And his girlfriend, and apparently she says she's not okay with it, but she is.
She's okay with it. She's okay. She loves Big Dill. Big old Dill.
Big old Dill.
Bill. Okay. Well, this has been an hour and 15, so we're gonna end the podcast here.
You gotta go. Take care, Ben.
No,
did you laugh at all when I was saying in the text yesterday? I was like, oh, so you and Corey are doing it, huh? Just being fucking stupid and random.
I didn't see I saw all of them after because I wasn't by my phone.
Okay.
I saw all of them after, and then there was one I saw, and then you're like, did I do anything wrong?
Yeah, because like you weren't calling me back, or I'm like,
I thought that was so funny. I was just, oh my god! It came off as like a significant other. Like, what did I do? What did I do? And I was just
like I'm your boyfriend, and you're like,
yeah, I like when you get all stupid like that. When you're just like, because you know, I put my phone down for most of the day, and I'm not on it, and so that was funny.
I see.
Like, I got back to the phone. Like, did I do anything wrong? I just started laughing. I don't even respond back. I don't even want to let you know that you're funny. I don't respond back, but
I'm not. He makes me laugh. I'm not letting him know that I'm not giving him that satisfaction.
It was pretty good. But this has been the Video Games and Nonsense podcast from March 8th. I'm Chase Carter. That's
Raymond Woods.
And we hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys. What are you laughing at? Next week. What did I do? Did I do something wrong? I'm fixing my... It itched. My beard itched.
It's been the Chase Carter and Raymond Woods podcast.
I didn't do that. That's not what I...
Yeah, next time we're going to...
That's not what I... No, I did. I had an itch. This has been the... I think I look ugly doing that. It wasn't a sexual thing. I'm not a very sexual person.
That was good. All right. Get the fuck out of here.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, guys.
I remember 20 years ago I was standing